Hey, 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 it's a wonderful day with Chuck, Lauren Pranav, and Jing Fei. See, I've been working on my poetry. And I am in a good mood today. We have Creator Toolbox. It feels like an eternity since we've been on one of these. Well, actually, Pranav was on just a few hours ago. So go check that out over at our YouTube channel. My name is Chuck Tomasi, Senior Developer Advocate at ServiceNow. And joining me is
Laura McManaman, another senior developer advocate at ServiceNow, and below me.
And the third one, Pranav Bhagat here, and I'm going to pass it to Jing Fei.
Hi, my name is Jing Fei Chen. I'm the product manager of Flow Designer. I'll be talking about Flow Designer today. Yay!
one of our favorite topics. We are very excited to see what's new in Washington, D.C. Jing Fei is going to show us all about that. Do we have any news worth sharing, fellow advocates?
Yes, indeed, we do.
What do you got, Lauren?
Oh, I thought we were just going to promote just the general calendar, right? Because you said that.
Yes.
You got that, Pranav? I'm going off what you said in the pre-show.
We've got our Washington, D.C. I'll get out of the way. There it is. The content calendar. We're in week 2, which is right about there. I'm trying to do the weatherman thing. And lots of good stuff coming up. So check it out. devlink.sn/Washington, D.C. We may or may not have a link. Oh, look at that. Or Washington. Both work. We made sure of that in case we said it either way. So go check that out. Mark your calendars for blogs and videos and podcasts and all this good stuff that's coming out. We look forward to you joining us on more videos. Thank you to everybody who joined us live for Creator Toolbox. We also have Live Coding Happy Hour that comes up on Fridays. We do that live also. Lots of great stuff. This is where we do a deeper dive into some of the stuff we showed you on Tech Now on February 1st. So that was sort of a table of contents overview, and everybody said, we want to see more. We want to see more. This is your chance to see more. So unfortunately, there's nobody named Seymour on this video. Sorry. But we do have Jing Fei here to show us more about Flow Designer. Very excited about that. So what do you say? Any other announcements that I might have missed?
No.
Not on my side.
All righty. CreatorCon's coming up. Go sign up. Knowledge.servicenow.com. But over to Jing Fei. She's got the stuff you came here to hear about.
Yay, let's dive right in. So today I'll be talking about what's new in Washington, D.C. for Flow Designer. Safe harbor notice. I just have one slide and then I'll do the rest of the talk with demo. So you will see live of all these features that I'll be talking about. So just a recap a little bit. For Vancouver, we did 2 major features. There is the generative AI analysis recommendation. That's like just, giving you one recommendation of one component to use within the flow. And then that recommendation is generated by generative AI based on everything you have said above on like the based on the flow that you have already created so far. And then we're also adding the flow diagramming for support for Subflow. In Washington, we did a lot more. We continue our generative AI journey. We added a capability called flow generation, which is generating an outline of the flow using Now LLM, which I will show in a second. And then we're also consolidate everything workflow into one place called Workflow Studio. So that's one single place that you ever need to visit for everything you want to automate. We're adding a flow logic called go back to, and then we're continuing closing the gap for our flow diagramming. So that includes existing flow logic such as do the following until, try catch, the natural language support plus annotation, which I will show everything in a demo in a second. And then we have a lot of usability improvements such as undo, redo, adding autosave with protected editing, and then subtle warning. So yeah, a lot of great stuff coming up. Without further ado, let me dive right into a demo.
You're going to get all that in today.
all of that.
Okay, this I got to see.
Yeah, this is exciting. I'm pumped.
Yay. So let me get into an instance. So
I love when the slides are just one.
That's it. That's it for my slides.
If anything, it's a nice slide. You can go back to the video and screenshot it so that when you are looking for new stuff, that's a nice little summary of what you can play around with.
Yeah.
Till the time
exactly.
like Jingfei is loading up, like Chuck, Lauren, what are your favorite features
In
from
Flow Designer?
this? Yeah,
Uh,
which is one feature that you're looking forward to in this stream?
Pick one. Pick one.
the undo button, because I mess up all the time.
Oh.
So there's an undo button now. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's make my life so much easier.
I gotta say it's subtle, but the autosave is really cool. You don't have to think about. We always used to tease Brad Tilton that he would try something and then lose his work because he didn't save often enough. Now you
Yeah.
don't have to worry about it anymore.
Yeah. They really go hand in hand, things are
Yeah.
auto-save, but if they're saved accidentally, you can undo.
Right.
Yes. Perfect.
Mhm.
Gotcha.
Cool. All
Anyway,
right.
nobody asked me, so I won't say my feature.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Which one do you like?
Nah, both of them picked up my favorite feature, so
Oh.
that's fine.
I will show all of them, so you will have a chance to see all of them. So
I love these flow names.
yeah. This is, by the way, this is my demo instance. I do demos with this all the time. So I just typed in Flow Designer in the navigation bar, and then you will notice that I actually land in Workflow Studio. So it's really a one single place for everything you need to know in order to automate anything. So we have the playbooks here, the flow, subflow actions here, decision tables here. You're able to see the list view as you used to be able to, and then you're also able to pick up where you left off. So let's say you're making a flow, and then that's work in progress. Let's say you're making this junk name flow, but you left off for the day, and then tomorrow you want to pick it up, you can see that right away.
So quick question, Jingfei. So when people, we got a lot of questions about this on Tech Now. So now when people are searching for the place to build, right, do they search for Workflow Studio or do they still search for Flow Designer? And do they open up different windows?
They can search both, and then they will land in the same place. So if they search Flow Designer, they will be here. But if I just do Workflow Studio, I'll get in the same place.
Okay,
You don't have to retrain your brain on this one.
Yes.
It's like typing on our dev link, Washington or Washington, D.C. They go the same
Yeah,
way.
exactly. You type Process Automation Designer, voila, you'll be here too.
Okay, cool.
So whatever you type, you'll be here.
Very cool.
Yeah, so I will be creating a new flow. So everything I want to ever create will be here under the same new button. And then if I do so, you will see a completely new screen with two tabs. One is built with Nowasys and one was built from scratch. Built from scratch is everything you used to do before. But this built with Nowasys is our newest capability that's powered by generative AI. It's very magical. Let me show you. So I'm just going to say.
Is something Nowasys wise that can still be played around with on PDIs?
No, Nowasys is not something you can play around in PDI. It's under the Nowasys for creator entitlement. So the instance needs to get an entitle.
Because I was like, I didn't see this when I was breaking down my PDI. I'm like, okay, good.
Yet. You can't use it on PDIs yet.
Yet.
We are still working on some back end stuff to see if we can make that happen. Stay tuned.
Yes.
And Jingfei, this particular screen comes up when you open through Workflow Studio, or when you're building a normal flow, like the screen also comes up. Because Go ahead.
It's when you're building a normal flow, if you type Flow Designer, you will end up in the same Workflow Studio. So either way, you're ending up in the same place.
Gotcha.
This screen, it just, once you have the Nowasys for Creator enabled and flow generation enabled, you will be able to see that. Otherwise, you will only see build from scratch.
Gotcha.
Yes. So basically, it's taking a plain English description of what you want to automate, what you want to achieve with this flow. So in case you don't know what to put in here, I have a few examples that are working, and I vetted them.
Oh, and that's handy.
Yeah, so that gives you like an example of what to put in here. So for example, let me just use this. Basically, it's a flow that runs every day at midnight, and then blah, 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 blah. Find the problem record, so probably do a lookup, and then some if statement, and then blah, blah, blah. All right, let's see what happened here. So if I click built with Now Assist, what happened is actually sending that paragraph backend to a large language model that ServiceNow owns. We own the model, we own the training data. So it's not like you're not sending that data externally. And then here you go. This is the flow that's being generated. So it has a time trigger, some lookup record, and then for each, right? Because it's looping through all the problem records, and then some if statement and some update. It has a placeholder because this particular instance doesn't have the spoke that is needed. So that's why it has a placeholder. So there you go. Now you have a structure of the flow. You can just fill in more details. So it's not like you're starting from scratch.
I would say no matter how many times I look into it, looks like magic. Because I still
It
remember
still looks like magic to me.
It's like I'm like coming from like 8 years back. Like Chuck knows that. Like when we were building on workflows, and we had to put each and everything. Now after 8 years, or like probably 10, 15 years from ServiceNow journey, we are where we are. So amazing.
Yeah, quite a bit of progress. We're working as we speak. I know this talk is about Washington, but just a little bit forward looking, we're actually working to fill in all these details for you. So it's not like you only have the outline, but you will also have more details filling in the flow. But for now, this is what we get here. Yeah, so if you want to see what text you were putting in before, you can click on these three dots and go to flow property. This is where you see the initial text you put in case you forget. Also, another small enhancement is we surface this right asterisk on the surface. So like, you know that there is a mandatory field inside of that component that's still not filling. And this is, so yeah, so it tells you, hey, gotta put more details here.
I also like how that's consistent with other things in the platform too. Like if you have mandatory fields, they have a asterisk. So I love seeing that play out too now in Flow Design.
Yeah. The red asterisk is not just for generative AI flow. It's for all the flow. Let's say you have a flow, you finish the day, and then tomorrow you come back. This is something I gotta continue.
Very cool.
Yeah. Okay. So let me also use the new flow to show other features. So let's say if I'm building from scratch, demo other W features. All right. So skip the tour. So let me see my agenda here. Let's say you are building a flow that does this. So whenever a new incident is created, let's say we want to add a message to task conversation, and then we want to create an incident task for every child incident under that, the parent incident. Okay, so this is the requirements, very simple. But since Washington, we're actually closing the gap between the standard text view that I'm showing on the screen as well versus the diagramming view. So for this building or authoring experience, I'm actually going to be building everything in the diagram view. So exciting. So let me actually switch to diagramming. Before
I just noticed you hit edit flow in there, which is new. Wouldn't it make sense for a brand new flow to start in edit mode?
It would. That's actually a defect that we're fixing.
Okay, good. It's only one click, but it can get really annoying really fast.
Exactly. For new flow that has never been activated or published, you should be able to see the banner just like this.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's actually what we're fixing right now. But you will notice that we took out the save button. That's gone. And then there is this icon that tells you whether the flow is being saved or not. And then there is the undo redo button.
Yeah.
So let's say based on the requirement, I need to, whenever an incident is created, so let's say I'm creating a new incident. Here we go. Incident. Then whenever a new incident, so I'm actually gonna say state is new and assign to is, here we go, is empty. I think that's what I said. No, assignment group. Assignment group. Assignment group is empty. The other thing I want to showcase is you see once I add some condition that the condition natural language is also supported on diagramming. So
I love that.
The same thing on standard view. It's like you don't really need to open the trigger to understand what exactly is triggering this flow. Same thing. It's the same sentence. So you can just see at a glance of what's happening here. If I add annotation, let me say this is the incident trigger, because why not? Annotation is also supported right here. Okay. There's also a small,
Jingfei, is the annotation supported in the normal view, or is it just supported in this default?
Yes, it is.
It is, yes. So annotation is this gray font underneath, so you can see the same information no matter which view you're supporting.
Oh, I love seeing that. I love also how fast they flip back and forth between.
Right. It's very like back and forth. So it's really your choice of which view you prefer now. And there's this small enhancement that we're putting in, so you can really tailor the view you want to support. So let's say you're presenting this to your management who's not really familiar with ServiceNow. So you want to hide out some technical detail. So you can just hide this and maybe just leave the annotation. And then I can export that into a image, which is gonna, let me drag that up, which is gonna support whichever configuration you set here. So it's only showing annotation here. So you can take this image and stick that to a presentation and then present it to your management. All right, let's actually leave this on, close this, then, okay, continue. So based on the requirement, let's say we want to add a try catch. So try catch is another thing we start to support in diagramming. It has this two-part like illustration. So one note for try and then the other one for catch. So anything within that is within the try. So in here, let's say we want to do something about integration. So I think it was connect. Yeah, send a message to task conversation. So whenever a incident is created, I want to do this connect integration hub spoke. So I will put that into a try because it's the integration. So if there's anything goes wrong with the try, I want to go into the catch. Then I will set the catch error handling component right in here. So let's say if I want to do some remediation, maybe a log, so I can know exactly what's happening with the error. And then let's say things goes wrong and I caught that. After remediation, I actually want to go back to retry. So I can add the go back to within the catch of the try. Where's my go back to? Here. And then I can say destination is try. So that means you will see a edge going back to the beginning of the try. So this means to retry.
That's nice.
I love it.
Yeah, so it's really error handling. We're taking it to the next level. Yeah, let's say I want to add
quick footnote, because we are advocates and not in marketing. Well, we are technically, but we did have go back to in Vancouver, but it was pulled back because it had some issues. So it's now available in Washington, and as you can see, it's working pretty well here.
Yeah, we're not trying to gaslight you. This did. We didn't talk about this last year.
The other thing I wanted to point out is the dotted lines underneath your send message action actually denote something specific. It says, look, I'm going to try to get there, but if I don't, I'm going to jump to the catch block. Yes. And if you hover over that, it'll say, if I'm successful, I go to the next step or action. If I'm not, then I'm going to fail through to the catch. So you've always got this helpful tooltip that you can hover over and go, where is it going? Why is it going there? What did it do? I think that's invaluable.
Yeah. Another thing is you notice that the edge are highlighting with the two component that is being connected to. they're all highlighting in case you have a very large and complex flow, and then the lines are intertwined, and then like between each other, you can really understand where is the line going and which direction.
That's the old workflow editor where they'd get all mixed up and twisted around. This one's
Yeah.
fine.
It's like Beetlejuice. Don't bring up old workflows. They'll come back.
Yeah. Okay,
Now,
so
I can add like the way Jingfei explained try and catch thing. I wish when I was learning scripting, somebody would have explained me like that, because it's so simply you have put things up.
thank you. Yeah, so anything goes wrong and then it goes here. So this is like a conditional branch. And then you do something and then it go back to retry. That's simple and graceful like that. Okay, all right, so continue. What else I want to show? Oh, do the following until. All right, so do the following until is another feature that was supported in the standard view, but right now we're adding to the diagramming view. So I'm gonna close this for now, and then you will notice that it's also 2 notes bucketing, and then it's in the same fashion of for each loop, if you remember that. So it's like do the following of this that you put in the middle until, and then you loop back. Okay.
So Vitali just asked a question, does it retry once or does maybe an infinite loop? We haven't done any remediation steps in the catch. So technically this could be an infinite loop if it kept failing and failing and failing and failing. So be aware of, what you're doing and what you're trying and what you're catching.
It's definitely a double-edged sword. So it's very powerful, but you also don't want to try forever, right? You don't want to go back to,
Right.
You want to design your flow very carefully. There is a system property that we're controlling to, so like it's the maximum number of loops that this flow can ever have. So in case some flow that was just not authored carefully, it's not going to bug down the system. We have some fail-safe to avoid that, but whenever a flow has to go back to, please be very careful.
Is that a system property or a flow property?
I think it's a system property. I
Okay.
gotta double check. Yeah. Also, one more note, go back to it's going to be available for all the flow that are newly authored starting in Washington. So if you have a flow that was authored before, you're not going to magically see go back to just be available on there. So only for new flows. Okay. All right, continue.
Jingfei, this is a question that's coming from a developer side of me, like when it will be available for the old flows, because I have seen like rollback activity used in workflows, change workflows and other things, and a lot of like customers, they are using those rollback activities. So they would like to maybe like they might have moved to flow designers and everything now from workflows. So how they can utilize these in their old flows? Is there any timeline or it won't come out?
It just because the flows that were authored before, they were on the old version of the flow engine. So a flow engine is the thing behind the scene that's powering the flow. We just need to make sure those previously created flow are on the engine version 2, the newest version of the engine. So I believe there's a property that you can set to change each flow to modify which engine is running on. I gotta go back and get more detail and then send it out.
Yeah, thanks, Jingfei.
Good info.
Cool. All right.
Lisa just answered the same thing for Jace.
Oh, hi, Lisa. Hi. All right. So do the following until, let's say I want to say, okay, for every, what was the requirement? Let me put that up again. I want to create an incident task for every child incident. So whenever, let's say this incident has 3 child incidents underneath that, I want to create 3 incident tasks. So I'm just going to do that repetitively within do the following until, but first of all, I got to look up how many child incidents. So let me do a lookup here. This one. All right. So I want to say, what do I want to say here? Okay. I want to say lookup incident task. this one. And
That's the order by. You need your condition. Click edit.
correct. Here we go. This one is the triggering one. Yeah, this one. Ta-da. All right. So
Is that working now? You can just point to a record? Because it used to be you had to point directly to a sysid. You had to use the record sysid.
I believe this is how it works.
I want to see
Yes.
this work because that has been bothering me forever, and I've never been brave enough to go back and try records as data pills.
Oh, so you used to just like need to dot walk and one more? No.
Yes.
No.
I don't think that's right, Chuck.
You can do that.
I've passed them as parameters, but I've never been able to get them to quite work as conditionals.
Huh.
Or maybe it's the values. I think it might be when I'm setting values or something. Let's see how it goes.
No, I'm pretty sure like this one, because I'm
We're all gonna
setting
learn
to a
today.
reference, it's gonna go to the society, but we'll see. Okay,
And I may have been bitten by something from 2018 that I'm still living with the pains. We all do that. It's like it didn't work there, so I'm going to keep doing what I do.
We have all been there. All right, so after lookup, I'm gonna start creating. I looked up what? I looked up. Actually, I should be looking up child incident. I shouldn't be looking up. So let me change this. Child incident. So incident where I think it's also called. Wait. Parent. Yeah, parent.
I always get confused which one's parent and which one's parent incident. And it depends on who constructed this.
Yeah, exactly. Depends on the how the form is configured. All right, so now I want to create incident tasks. Incident task. Oh, no. I want to create incident task underneath parent. No, maybe it's called incident. Yeah, it's called incident. Incident is the triggering incident. Here we go. This is the one. All right, and I want to do that until what? Until, let me see my notes. I want to do that until.
I believe your lookup records returns a count, does it not?
I think so. Yeah, I think I need to go to lookup record. Where's my count?
Count is in the middle.
Here.
Third one down.
In the
Yes.
middle. Yeah.
And then equals to
0.
what I want to do here. I want to see the number of the incident tasks because the count is on the child incident. So I need to. What was it? Hold on, let me see my note. Child incident. Oh, it's the triggering, and then there is a child in. Here we go. There is a child. There should be a number here.
They were just hiding below the fold.
Yeah, it should be.
I love when it becomes a live coding happy hour.
Why not?
Exactly. This is what it's becoming now. Where's my?
Like looking into all this thing, like I'm comparing to what when I started playing with Flow Designer, like I think 3-4 years back, and like we have come so far.
Oh, here
Like,
we go. Finally. Sorry. Continue. Sorry.
No, I was just saying like we have come so far. I was the first person who was complaining about how slow it is and all. Now it's like, boom,
Yeah.
super fast and everything.
Yeah. Did I do this right? I think. Hold on.
It's
Let me
okay. It's
just
inside a
check
try catch. Doesn't matter.
I mean, that's true. Yeah.
It's actually like within the do the following until. So I want to make sure the conditions are right. Okay. So what else do I need to show? Yeah. So do the following until annotation, conditions, and everything is now supported. The same flow. If I flip that over to the standard view, you will see the flow is also
Lovely.
authored from top to bottom, but I can just really toggle back and forth, depends on which view I like. And then zooming out a little bit, maybe not that much, this much. Okay, you will see, however, the flow is like showing the complete map. So I can export this, stick this to some documentation, and that's my flow. So it's really, really non-technical friendly, I would say.
Love it.
Okay, And then finally, the feature I want to show is undo redo. So you notice as I author the entire flow, this thing is being saved.
Yep.
Then, so if I want to undo, I just simply, wait, it freeze? Why did it freeze? Why did it freeze? Don't do this. Wait, don't freeze. Why did it freeze? Okay, let me maybe refresh this page.
And that's where the autosave thing came handy.
Exactly, because it freeze and I forgot to save, but now it auto-saved.
I have a quick question. So one of the questions that we got during Tech Now was about how many undos can it do? So I know that it's based off the current session, right? So like
Yes.
when you open up Flow Designer, it starts the session and starts tracking the steps that you are doing.
Mhm.
Is there a cap to the number of undos/redos that it stores?
There is, and the number is not something we can control. It's really determined by backend by the system. So, but it's definitely within the session. It's not like if I close this and come back to this tomorrow, it's not going to be able to undo to that.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So, wait, why did it freeze? It's still freezing. Jesus.
Not my favorite feature.
Maybe-
I'm just kidding.
What happened here?
Maybe change the view. Just change the view and try.
No, it's still
I know.
freezing. I was trying this like just now. It worked. Come on. All right, what happened? And do I need to close this and reopen again? Okay, maybe. This is the name. Copy this. Close that.
With
Is
this remind me of a story like when I was working with a customer. It was my first presentation. I tried it 5-6 times, and during the presentation that feature failed. I don't know why.
Lisa added an interesting comment in the chat as well. There is also a force save option under the little ellipses. So on the right-hand side,
Yes.
in case autosave has not picked up on something or you want to do it just out of habit, you still can. So you don't have to rely on autosave.
Yes. So in case, so they could be showing like error state under the save icon. So in case it cannot save for whatever reason, you can still force save. That's right. Thank you, Lisa.
It's a Jedi thing.
Yes. Or sometimes you just feel like, man, this is so critical. I know it's saved, but I want to save this again.
That's me playing Persona 3 last night. I'm like, I know I've saved like 3 times in a row. I'm gonna save one more.
I'm gonna save. You know, like when you leave the house and it's like, did I lock the door?
Did I lock the door?
Yeah, that's for that. Okay, hopefully this time it worked. Huh? It still doesn't work. Wait, what happened?
Can you switch off autosave? Is what Tim asked.
I don't think so. You can force save this, which I will show you right now.
There was another option in there for save. There was save and force save.
I don't know what that save is. I think this is a defect too.
It might
Okay.
be a remedial UI
Yeah.
add-in.
Yeah,
Safe harbor, safe harbor, safe harbor.
It's definitely force saved.
Yeah, we're in the wild, wild west of Washington because we're not even at one patch, right? I think this is just like the newest of the new.
Yeah, very, very new. Just released. What
The instance name is Demo Nightly. That should give you a clue as to how new it is.
I gotta understand. I tried this like just now. It didn't. What's happening? Let me try this on a. Let me create a brand new flow and then try this.
Okay.
Let's say I wanna testing save.
If that's not my favorite feature, then I will revise my answer from earlier. I really like the workflow studio. So like I really loved all the changes made to the Flow Designer homepage in Vancouver. I was like, oh my gosh, like this is a real upgrade from its previous homepage. And so further expanding on that, and just because I know that, because just a little inside baseball to the developers out there watching this, like all these products are made by different teams, sometimes in different places in the world, right? And so as they are developed, as the need arises, obviously like organizationally, they should exist under some similar access point eventually. So seeing that culmination happen with Workflow Studio, seeing all these different places that automation occurs on the platform in one place now. That's really exciting and really cool to see because it shows how much maturity has happened across all those different teams. Very cool.
And this is just a thought, like coming back to undo redo. Is it like we created it using now assist, right? So is it because of that we can't undo redo in that, or
No, it shouldn't be like that. It shouldn't be like that.
Okay.
It just I was trying exactly same thing just now and it worked. So I don't know what's maybe the environment has some issue. So that's why I'm changing to a different environment. Let's see if this one works. Okay, otherwise I really gotta bug my engineering team.
You know what? You got perfect evidence to bug them. You can just send them this clip.
Like, come on, guys. All right, so let me.
This is like dash cam footage. You know, it's undeniable.
I think this is too big. Let me zoom this out. Here we go. All right, so if I do switch to diagramming view, let me build some stuff.
Yeah.
And any table, doesn't matter.
It looks purple.
Oh, here we go. Here we go. Okay, so let me add something else just so you see how frequent it's being saved. Let's say active is true. Sure, let me add a condition here. And then so click once, the condition is gone. Click again, it's the table reference is gone. And then finally, it's undo all the way back to the top. So if I just continue authoring and then redo. What's undoable is what's redoable.
Awesome. So just for the developers watching this, the bugs seem to have existed in the demo instance.
It's the demo instance, okay? It's not the feature. It's that instance I was using. I'm sorry.
No, don't apologize. That happens to everyone. It's all good. That's fantastic though. Like I said, I make mistakes all the time and sometimes even forget what I was doing before, like how it looked before. So that's exciting to see. It just, you don't have to keep track of that in your brain anymore. You can just kind of undo through all the things.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, I think that's all the features I have for you. That's again quite a list. And now finishing demoing all of that. What's your favorite again?
Undo, redo.
When it works.
Yeah.
I think I'll stick to autosave because that's something really important. We just saw that, like if something happens while you're developing, maybe your internet goes off or maybe your computer dies or something. So this thing will be really handy. So I think for me, it will be autosave. What about you, Chuck?
I'm switching mine to try catch because it's a good practice that I don't use enough. And I want to remind others to use it as well.
Yes. Try catch is a very good error handling mechanism.
Although the new Workflow Studio landing page is a very, very nice touch.
Yeah.
One more note about autosaved. So if the flow has been activated or published, it will then have remember when I was having the flow newly open, it has a button to activate edit flow. So that's in place because let's say you have a flow already in production. You don't want to accidentally change something and then it auto-saved right away, right? So that's one more safety, safe check for you to say, okay, now I want to edit that flow. That motion is very intentional. We want to make sure you really want to edit the flow in case you accidentally change something on the canvas.
Very cool.
All right. Are you folks seeing any questions in the chat? Like I see
someone was referencing an earlier question, but I'm waiting for him to respond what it was.
Yeah, I was going to start scrolling to see if I could find it.
Yep, I was also scrolling too. Till the time, like, so
busy chat.
Yeah, Sonam, one of the developers, she's asking about like no limits on undo and redo. It's like, as Jingfish said, there is a limit, but it is decided by the system itself. So there is no fixed number on that. And I think
Mike's
saw
earlier
one more
question was, is there a wait for workflow event capability yet so you can trigger flow continuation from outside the flow?
Well, there's the new event trigger. That's something
that would trigger an event from the flow to the system. There was an action in the old legacy workflow that would sit there and wait for an event, an actual workflow event, if I remember right. It wasn't like the GS event queue kind of event.
Okay. So
I read an old blog article on that, but
I believe so. You can to call from a flow, you can call a workflow, go out from a flow to workflow. And then there is, I believe, an event.
We have a wait for, but
We
I
have a
don't know
wait for.
if yeah, it'll wait for an amount of time or a
Not
duration,
trigger.
a certain trigger, but I don't know if an event is one of those triggers that will sit there and wait for an event like that.
Yeah, there's a fire event, I think.
Yeah, that's so the flow can trigger a script action or a notification.
Wait for event might be wait for duration of time and wait for, I think that's a flow action or like an action.
Someone's also asking, is there ability to wait for approvals? That exists in Flow Designer as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have the approvals, and then you set up a
Wait for
condition of what you're
condition.
waiting for on those approvals. The only part of approvals that I haven't seen yet is what we used to call approval coordinators. We'd have users and groups and a whole bunch of people in this block, and everything needed to be satisfied before that would go on.
Yeah, but it could also be done on the decision table as well.
That's true.
We didn't have a lot of things that are now in Flow Designer, and having decision tables directly available from Workflow Studio is another huge step forward. As somebody who I love me a good decision table.
Me too. They're my favorite thing recently. I'm like, oh my gosh, they make my whole life easier. So speaking of a decision table, which can be used to really cut down on the number of actions in your flows. What someone just asked, is there an improvement on the limit of number of actions that can be added to a flow?
There is, and that's why we have the newest version of the engine. So we really scale up how much in terms of how complex and how much flow you can run on the engine. So yes, there is improvement for that. But still, I would recommend you, if a flow is very big and it's like has multiple weight and decision in there, you might want to break it down into a process. Just saying.
Or also that's why subflows exist, right? They help things, because typically if flows are that large, it's probably because there are similar things happening multiple times, or like I said earlier, like some of the multiple cascading if statements could be handled by a decision table as well. So typically that's what we see as the most common culprit for like these massive sprawling, flows.
And it's always recommended, like as a developer, like it's always recommended to create small subflows to manage your bigger flows rather than adding 50 actions in a single flow and then you don't know what's happening. So like.
Exactly. I would recommend a flow does not exceed 20 steps, 20 actions plus flow logic. Normally we see a good flow that's within 10 steps.
I agree. I think that sounds reasonable.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Because I remember like when we were back in my consulting days, like we created a best practices document. So we had a limit of 15. So we shouldn't have more than 15 steps to do that. So that's close to 20, Jingfei.
Close enough. You don't want your flow to be really like messy and then you don't know which line is going where. The lines, some of them are going up, some of them are going down, and you're like, oh, how do I troubleshoot this? You don't want that to happen.
The other thing I like about subflows is you can call them from script and pass in parameters where you can trigger a flow, but if you want to tie the same subflow to a UI action or a scripted REST API or something, you can use that modularity, that functionality over and over and over and say, here's the record you get and here's the parameter I'm passing. So with those two things, you can now run this subflow as easily as if it was on a flow passing data pills.
Correct.
I have seen subflows used to support, like, let's say, virtual agent conversation, right? So you can also set different reporting level or like priorities for each flow. So let's say you have a flow that's so critical and then it has to respond quickly. You just can't have that fail. For example, in a virtual agent conversation, you can set that priority to high, and then that will make sure like, okay, so your other flow can wait and maybe queue up a little bit, but this flow is so mission critical, it got to run first. So you can do all of that.
I've got some flows that are nothing but triggers to run a single subflow. It's trigger subflow so that I can use that subflow logic over and over somewhere else if I need to.
I have seen that too. Yes.
Given the time, is there any any fun little hints you can give us, and you can say no, also Safe Harbor, but is there any fun hints you can give us about maybe where things are headed for in Yokohama? Or excuse me, Xanadu.
Xanadu. Yeah, we're investing a lot on performance. And yes, I have heard you, things are slow. Activating this is slow, saving it, but now with auto-saved, it should be faster because it's incremental save. It's not like saving the entire flow altogether. But still, in Xanadu, we're investing a lot on making this faster. So execution time faster, publishing this faster. We're actually modernize how the flow should be saved behind the scene. How it was like so many different relational database, and saving is like you got to save to all these databases, but they're revamping how the flow is saved behind the scene. So you should be continuously noticing performance improvement every single release, including Xanadu. Also, we're investing a lot on AI. So remember, I was telling you where's my other flow? Yeah, this flow is only, I probably already closed it. It only had the skeleton or the layout configured by AI, but we're working towards getting the data pills, the configuration, the conditions, all of that filling in. Finally, to add here, I remember, was it Chuck you were saying, like you have seen a flow that's only has a trigger and then one subflow? We have seen a lot of that too. So we're actually working to decouple trigger and the flow. So we can say, okay, trigger is something else. You build trigger once, you can reuse that trigger in multiple flow. So basically we can say, okay, this flow has that trigger, but the same trigger can be used in many other flow. And then you can see all the flow that's used by a trigger. So that's also something we're working on.
Interesting.
That's called Trigger Builder.
And I have one question for you, Jingfe, because coming from a workflow background, like a lot of people have worked with workflows and everything. So should we say like the go back to is like a rollback, or go back to is a bit different from rollback? Because I know this question will be asked from multiple developers. So why not you only answer that question for us?
I'm not too familiar with the rollback capability in legacy workflow. Where's my go back to here? So I think we have a lot more control than rollback too. Or rollback in the old world. I think rollback, you can roll back to anything, right? You can roll back in here, in different places of the flow. But we, for go back to, really put a lot of like fail safe there. So there are certain destination that makes sense for this go back to, and it doesn't make sense sometimes. For example, if you have a go back to in a parallel, do the following in parallel, you can't just go back to outside of that parallel, because you will then have multiple execution in some other branch in that parallel. Right? So we limit the places that it makes sense for you. So if you can select, we think that generally makes sense, and we're trying to give you as much flexibility as possible.
Gotcha. I'll cut this clip and just share it to everyone who asked me this question.
Yes,
all right.
please.
I think like we are at the top of the hour, and thank you so much for showing us all these features, Jingfe. Like I know it's pretty early for you. I think 6:30 or 7 in the morning for you. That's pretty early for you. So thank you so much for joining us and helping us and showing us all these features. And again, any other plugs from Lauren and Chuck?
Nothing
Lots
other than, oh, sorry.
Lots more stuff coming up in Washington.
Yes, it's a big list.
Go to the devlink.sn/Washington to see our other shows that are coming up, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.